Up, guys? Welcome back to the bianconerizonechannel for another live with members. It's been a while. It was planned. It wasn't planned to discuss the topic. I was planning to do a World Cup slash Juve January transfer window video. Well, that's pointless at this point because the World Cup doesn't really matter. Like at this moment in time, and I don't think there's gonna be a January transfer window. But with me today is Giuseppe and Norbert. How are you guys doing?
Giuseppe, would you like to start?
You're muted, Giuseppe.
I'm good.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm good as well. After work and ready for some Juventus talk.
It's been a while. I actually was planning. I was looking forward to it. I'm like, okay, it's gonna be a laid back live. Just talk World Cup. We'll probably talk about it a little bit towards the end. And then yesterday, while I was finally enjoying a game because it was quite a decent game, out of nowhere, the phone went off like with notifications. I first thought it's a parody account because no way this is happening because there were no leaks. Like usually you get like even a Momblano, leaking stuff. Something is about to happen tonight, blah blah blah, and then everybody starts guessing. But there was absolutely nothing. So I was shocked. So I will ask Norbert first. When the news broke, how, what do you think? What was your first thoughts?
So I was checking my phone. I was watching the games and checking my Twitter to see. That's where I check news basically. And suddenly I saw some tweets popping off, and I was like, "There is no way. What is going on?" And I didn't really have time to look into it until end of work. And then at night I was just I joined the live to see what's going on, and then I heard, and it's insane. I'm scared. I don't understand how people can be happy in this situation because it feels like exactly like 2006, and I don't know. It's just weird that middle of the season, kinda that Elkann just let the board go, and I don't know. I'm scared. I hope it's just fine, like I don't know, few million up to like I don't know 15, 20 million or whatever, fine. And okay, and he said he knows already. Maybe he heard it. He obviously he has the sources, so I think he heard something, and he said, okay, it's enough, and then they just let them go, and this is what I'm hoping for.
Yeah, Giuseppe, what were your thoughts?
My initial reaction was, you know, what's going on now? And I said in messages with other people, Juve is just an easy target. This is just another bump in the road. But after a lot of the news started to come out, and my initial reaction, changed from being okay, this is no big deal to this is really serious, and why is it just us and not other teams? So right now, it's just frustration. I'm glad the board's gone. I think that's a way of sorting it out and cutting it really quick. But I think the repercussions are going to be heavy, and it's going to unfold, I think, pretty quickly. Um, but frustration is just there,
Like,
as fans.
yeah, because before we went live, I talked with Norbert about things I don't really care about, and this is one of them. Like I just want to watch them play football. Like that's it. Like I think over the last couple of years we have been, or like we needed to become uh, financial experts or whatever you want to call it, lawyers, because we need to decipher things. Like yesterday's statement from the club, I read it in the morning because I had time at work. Didn't understand anything about it. Like it was just a bunch of words. I'm like, no idea what you guys are saying. Um, and It's frustrating, like you said. Like it's frustrated. I'm frustrating, and I'm still worried because my reaction is still not, "Oh yes, they're gone." It's still not that because um, it's mid-season. Like, and no, I've never seen it before that mid-season 10 people leave, or 8, one of the two. It doesn't matter. Let's say 10. I've never seen it before at any club. Like, has anyone? Any sports? I haven't seen it before.
No, no.
So for me, that's a worrying sign.
I don't think it's going to be. I don't. Yeah, I agree with you. It's definitely worrying.
Yeah, but maybe Elkann had a crazy day because he decided to let the Ferrari dude go as well.
Benotto,
Bitonino, what's his name?
Binotto.
Benotti.
Binotto. So
Yeah,
maybe he had a crazy day and he decided to f
but
everyone and
that was planned.
yeah, yeah.
That was
That was based on performance results. This is based, I think, more on, financial
yeah,
discrepancies. And I don't want to just say, hey, look at Barcelona. I've had some text messages or Instagram messages back and forth with Justin today, and we both look at other things, but yeah, he's cleaning house. That's good. Allegri's staying. I don't know if that's great, but I think it's not a sporting thing where we're going into Serie B. I don't think that's the case at all. That's my opinion. I hope that's not the case. I think it's definitely severe fines, and probably we won't be able to participate in one or two transfer markets depending on the severity of it. Similar to what Chelsea dealt with. I think this is going to be sanctions because the La Liga memo basically meant that they came out in April and filed a complaint against us. So they went right to
wait,
financial fair play.
we okay. I will bring it up because that was one of the things I'm gonna bring up. Let me put it on the screen because you brought it up, and that was one of the talking points. And it was, the La Liga president. I think his name is Tebas, right? Um, he came out, or like the statement comes from him, and later on he tweeted, and you can read the tweet in the text, or like in the thing I put up there. Um, he sounds very unprofessional. Like I don't really care about the statement. Like the statement he mentioned City and PSG. I remember a few months back he was attacking them. He also tweeted out, "Dear Agnelli, you have manipulated financial statements, documents to deceive public authorities, shareholders, fans, and you also wanted to deceive the world of football with the Super League. Your resignation is great news." That's basically what he said. uh, the moment I read that, I sat back and I was like, okay, I know who he is. Like everybody knows how he is. He's very, how do you want to say that? Very reactionary. That's who he is. He will just spill it out with the Super League. He was attacking everyone. But my initial thoughts were two. The first one was, surely, like, no, I had three thoughts. Like one, you're the La Liga president, so I was confused. The second one, I'm like, everybody knows what happened with Barcelona or Real Madrid over the couple of years with loans from banks and more loans and all the things that were happening with Barcelona now. And I'm like, surely you're not gonna attack another team. That was the second thought, and I was confused. I was like, why? And the third thought was like, there's no, like there is. He's talking about punishment. There is no thing said about you guys did this. So he's asking for punishments based on no verdict. Like I don't know what he's asking for. He's just, I think he's just barking at this point. But it made the news because again, I said in my daily, it's now very easy. Yesterday, nobody knew what was going on. I'm gonna say 1 hour later, a good portion of the journalists named Agnelli the president, named Chiellini in the backroom staff, named Buffon back. I saw Conte coming back. I saw Allegri is gonna resign. All these things. Tancredi Palmieri, I'm gonna name it, the guy who basically tweeted out Mino Raiola was dead when he was still tweeting, comes out with news. and it's social media. Everybody picks it up, and I saw kind of respectable foreign journalists picking up news from not even sources. It's just spreading as wildfire, and I don't care about it. I do care when Juve fans read that stuff and be like, "Oh my god, this is happening," but it's based on nothing. Like at this point, there's nothing. Like the investigation is financial investigation. It has nothing to do with on the field stuff. Like it has nothing to do with at this moment in time. And even it's Italy.
And
Things
it's
can go
just that it's
fast.
just an investigation.
Yeah, it's an investigation, and probably it's Italy. Things can go fast in 2006, but things have changed so many times. You can appeal in Italy. Apparently, you can appeal things so many times that the chances are, at some scenarios, things just get thrown away because it takes way too long. That's one thing, and the other thing is um, what you just said. It's just an investigation, and probably Elkann. Um, I said it also at the beginning when Arrivabene came in. I'm like, this guy knows nothing about football. He comes out of nowhere. I think it's now obvious that he was put there by Elkann because he's still staying to oversee a little things. I think he was just there to, you know, see what's happening, basically, in my opinion. But um, I think somebody who Alcon really trusted basically told him, this is the best case because the same as they resigned, they all got sacked. Like Alcon stood up to them and basically told them, you guys all need to leave. It's for the club. Because another news report today was that, the investigation or the investigators are now ready not to drop cases because it's the thing the investigation is based on the persons, not really the club. Is the persons,
Individuals.
yeah, who left, they can basically can get jail time, whatever, if it fines, all those things. It's fixated on them. And I think somebody told Alcon it's the best, thing to do now is just cut ties and, let them deal with it and let the club move forward and see what happens, in the past. But Norbert, what do you make about that, La Liga president coming out with?
I don't want to comment on it. He's like, come on. We see Barcelona, and we know that Real Madrid is basically is there where they are right now because of the government. The government is funding Real Madrid. That's what I know. And Barcelona is funded by all the loans, and they sold the club's future. There's actually a pretty good YouTube series about it. I think it's insane. What is calming me down a little bit is that the investigation earlier this year, they didn't really find anything major. So I think you're right about the private. So it's about the personal, not the club. So yeah, I think we got a fine. Hopefully, we will not get banned from the transfer market, and then we go from there.
What do you make about you touched on it about what do you mean, like now you read the
Yeah.
statement.
Yeah, I mean, it's the frustration is, La Liga is reaching out to another league and another team, bringing up financial irregularities when they could focus on their own league. They're losing major players to other leagues. They're losing players to France. They're losing players to Italy and England, and I think their league is struggling. A lot of these big players, they're going elsewhere. Maybe that's his motivation. Maybe it has something to do with Super League. Regardless, I don't know why he's sticking his nose into, another league's, business when he could focus on, in particular, Barcelona, who were bankrupt. And on the final day, they come up with an emergency loan from Spotify, and they can magically sign all these players at the final hours. Otherwise they would have, who knows what have happened. And nobody talks about that. And all the Barcelona fans and, the pundits are like, oh, we knew nothing was going to happen to Barcelona. And then here we go, 6 months later, after all these players got signed for Barcelona and nobody said a word. Now we're talking about transfers that happened a year to 2 years ago. And I think that the bulk of this is, it's been brought up in the past because the investigation's going on. And the bulk of this investigation is the irregularities are simply Juventus valuing players or quote unquote overvaluing a player and then selling them or loaning them out at a set value. The issue for other clubs are, well, why do they get to value this player at, say, 30, 40 million instead of 15? Well, it's based on who's buying him. Everybody knows that if you sell a player in England, you're going to get top dollar. You're going to spend $100 million for Harry Maguire. When if he came to Italy, you're lucky if you get 50. So it's the club, because there's no agency, there's no third party that's going to value each and every player like you do on FIFA. So the irregularities come from the transaction, and the transaction is based on what the player's purchase price or value is going to be. So who gets to determine that aside from the people involved in the transaction? The seller, which is Juve, and the buyer. So, when you're balancing your books, it's based on transactions. So why nobody says anything about Neymar being 225 million euros, and then they get to sign Messi, and then they get to make Mbappe, part of the club so they can hang on to the three best strikers or the top three of the five best strikers in the world. So the irregularities are being investigated, but what enforceability is there if a player is going to be sold at a set amount? Who can enforce what's another player's willing, another team's willing to play for another player?
I agree, and I think things will come out because I don't think this is the issue, overvaluing players, because you cannot prove it. You cannot prove like you said. Like if I say I want, let me say I want. Oops, that's not wrong. That's wrong. Let's say I want club. I don't know. Ren. I want them to pay 20 mil for Rafia, and they pay that, and I don't care if he's worth 4 mil. If someone wants to pay that, it is what it is. I don't think you can really do anything about that, as far as I know. But I think something else will come out, and I think Elkann knows what's coming out, or he knows stuff, and that's why he acted like this. Because in the statement, it read that, you can read, it's the best thing for the club because they need to deal with it. Those guys leaving, and even yesterday's statement, they mentioned the value and the all those things, COVID, blah blah blah, and they also valued, and I think that's the issue, the wages that were deferred during the COVID period. But after that, they also said we did everything according to the rules, which I found really hard to believe. If 10 people leave, I'm sorry, I cannot believe that, because why are people leaving? If if everything is fine, why are people leaving? For me, that makes no sense. So they can hold on to that. That's fine. But I believe something will come out that I mean, Elkann and the people who he trusts they know about. And probably everybody knows it by now who are leaving. But I think he found out, excuse me, and he got told, it's best for all those guys to leave. I don't really think it's about the value thing. I think that's I think that's why the investigation started. I think they stumbled on other things, like the wages that were deferred. If they have been paid behind closed doors, that's not, let's say what it is. That's not okay. Because you're telling the league we're paying players X amount, but you're playing them more, and you're doing that behind closed doors. So that shouldn't be allowed. Let's be completely honest. Otherwise, and also it could be an issue for the UEFA, because you financial fair play, all those things. I mean, it doesn't add up. Also, you're on the stock market exchange. How does that even work? So you would assume that a company like Exor, someone like Agnelli, you would assume they're not that stupid. But hey, 10 people left, and here we are. So I think things will come out from good sources, not Gazzetta dello Sport naming every possible scenario in the world where they're like, yeah, at some point we will get one right. Like you mentioned everything. Like it's easy. It's like some journalists saying he might or might not renew, like the Alexandro thing a few days ago. I'm like, yeah, you're right. He might or he might not. Like, what is that kind of reporting? So I think things will come out very soon. But I don't have a good feeling about it. Not like you said, Giuseppe, Serie B, all those things, like joke about it. I don't think that's the case. But I do believe it will have a big financial impact. Maybe a transfer. I don't know what it will be, but it will be something. It will be something. And it's not looking good. And why I think it's not looking good, and I'll move on to the next topic, is because the new president was announced. Before I get into it, I never heard about him. Like, so I'm gonna be completely honest. I never heard about it. It's Gianluca Ferrero, and now I'm reading this. I remember I made a mistake in my daily video because I talked about the president, but it was a director I was trying to mention. But I don't know who this guy is. So this from Romeo Gresti saying Gianluca Ferrero, next president of Juve, currently holds a position of, I don't even know what that word is, auditor at Finera Holding. He's vice president of the board of directors of Banca del Piemonte and a member of the board of directors of Italia Independent Group. He is, he's a banker. Like, I don't know what, like, he is a guy who doesn't know anything about football. Like, let's be honest. Yeah, he knows the game, but like he doesn't know the world of football. Go on of the things you basically read on the internet, or you can go on the actual website also. He knows nothing about football. He is there, and that's my fear a little bit. He is there to sort out the financial situation. So I'm not even sure if he's going to stay for a very long time. I don't know him. From what I've read, I believe he's there to sort out the financial mess, and that's why I'm a bit worried. Also because there were rumors about other people coming in, and respectable journalists saying people coming in like lawyers and like people with those backgrounds. I'm like, that doesn't sound good for us on the field. Like, I'm sorry, that doesn't excite me at all. What do you make about that, Norbert? Because I've never heard about it. So.
Yeah, me neither. I think you're right. It's a short-term solution. He's a suit, so he's a money man. That's what he knows. That's what he does daily. So I think it's short-term. We hear about all this crazy Buffon, Chiellini, Del Piero on the board, or president, vice president, all that stuff. The truth is that no one knows, but I believe that he's a short-term solution to fix this issue or to check what's up. And then January 18th or something, they have the next meeting. And I think then everything gonna be sorted. But until now, he's gonna take care of things.
Yeah, also because the meeting was on the 18th of January. I'm like, okay, he's appointed now. For what reason? For a few months. So I think he's there to bridge a gap a little bit. But what do you make about that, Giuseppe? Just based on his background.
I think the finance background is good. I think it's excellent. So from what I understand, they brought in an independent accounting company, third party, to look at the books. And they're going to want somebody who's well-versed and well-knowledgeable with banking, finance, and how you categorize some of these transactions and salaries and things like that. So that part I really agree with. I don't think it's permanent. I think it's something, I agree with you, that it's something that's going to stabilize and give stability to, as a reactionary to the news, getting rid of the board, bringing someone who's well-versed and experienced. It's going to bring stability to the situation and put some people at ease that are, investigating. So they know that are on top of it. I like the action of Elkann. He's he's where he is for a reason. He's really sharp. He's at all the matches, or a lot of matches rather, and he's at F1 and he's overseeing Exor. So I trust him and his actions. I think he's more calm and he sits back more so than, Agnelli. And I think that's a huge difference. Who they bring in as far as the board, they're going to handpick these people. And I think the timing is not ideal for the transfer market. But I think the timing, is going to be ideal. Let the dust settle. Let's see where the investigation goes. Get people ahead of the ball to try to clean up some of the questions, and kind of approach this from a pragmatic way, where they can say, this is our new board coming in, and we're going to resolve some of these matters. If there's sanctions for salaries, there should be sanctions for salaries. It's got to be fair, But ultimately, I don't think that he's going to be the one that's going to stay. I think he's kind of the right-hand man of Elkann. So I think he's been selected just to calm things down and bring stability to the situation, so they can put shareholders and the market at ease with somebody who's very experienced Elkann, who has full confidence in. So it's pretty much an example, I think, of what their intentions are going to be.
I see your point, and I think that's the biggest reason why he's there. I'm not saying, but I'll use it in the past that a president should focus on non-sporting things and vice on sporting. I said that, and also said that now, but I also added, going off the reports from good journalists, the other people coming in are also people who have no real clue about football, and for me that's an issue if you have too many of them, because Kirubini is also very unexperienced. Like, let's be honest, he's not the top guy already, and he is now looking around, and he's probably is like, what's happening? Like, what do I need to do now? I think he's in a very difficult position. He was probably planning the transfer window, and he's now looking at it, and he's like, what can and what cannot I not do, basically. It's very strange because even at the at the end of last week, Romeo was tweeting out, they're going to have a sit down with Allegri to talk about the transfer market. And then boom, it comes out of nowhere. And at one moment I'm like, this is all hasty. And on the flip side, I'm like, okay, they already picked the president. You don't decide that in a few hours. You just don't. Like, it's not that yesterday, I don't know what time, 10 p.m. my time, a bit earlier, they were like, everybody is gone. Elkann wakes up and he's like, Ferrero, you're going to be the president. I think that's planned. Or like, I hope it was planned.
Yeah, one thing I don't want to see is Platini anywhere near the club.
That's...
I don't know where did I see it. I saw it somewhere today, but I really hope it's not true.
Doubtful. I think that's doubtful.
No, it's not true. Like I said yesterday, they had no clue, and then they listed in a bunch of lists, like Chairman Del Piero. I'm like, yeah, you expose yourself for being a very crappy journalist. Like, let's be honest. Let's be completely honest. You expose yourself. But that aside, because when I woke up, I didn't even read all the newspapers. Like, I just read the titles in the Gazzetta dello Sport, and I skipped. I'm like, okay, you guys are guessing. Like, just try again tomorrow. If you have something concrete, I will read it, But if you are guessing, listing out every scenario, yeah, I don't know. Like, it's for selling things, because a few hours ago, you had no idea. Now they know everything, which is, not true. Like, they don't know anything at this point. Like, we don't know anything, because if there's something more, like there's more info, like respectable journalists will be coming out with that news. But if you have guys from Calcio Mercato, Tancredi Palmieri's tweeting out stuff, I mean, and other respectable journalists staying quiet, then you probably, know what's up at this point. But it's a mess. For me, it's a mess because it's mid-season. I cannot be excited about it. if this would have happened, and even 10 people, like, I
I mean, it's a
that's
complete clearing out. He's
yeah.
just cleared everybody out. So, you say that, and it baffles me, and I want to scratch my head as well. We're all confused, but like like you're saying, LA, he already has a president, so that was definitely planned, and I want to like kind of think outside the box. Is it a possibility that, okay, let's retrace like the timeline. Everything's okay. We're talking about the transfer market. All the players are away at World Cup, and the rest of them are here. And Yelly's got this looming, conflict with not financial fair play, but an investigation that's going on that just won't go away. And is it maybe it's Elkann saying, listen, I'm tired of this. You should have resolved it, and going to his cousin and saying, hey, listen, you and your entire board, you haven't resolved this. It's not going away. Everybody out. I've lost my patience. And same thing with F1 Ferrari. I lost my patience. I gave you guys everything you need and your support, because they had a shocking season. And you go ahead and you have Agnelli backs Allegri after nobody wanted him, and then now it's complete uncertainty. So I really think there's a possibility that maybe Elkann just cleared everybody out because things aren't happening productively as fast as he wants, and he's tired of his cousin saying, yeah, everything's fine. Meanwhile, these investigations are coming up and they won't go away. And he's picking fights with the UEFA president, and you have these people just, we're sitting ducks pretty much. So maybe he just came in there and said, I have all these people and I have no problems with Exor, and I have no problems with Fiat and Ferrari and, all these other, conglomerate companies, but I have a problem with Juve and you can't handle it. So I'm getting everybody out. I'm bringing in my own people, and we're going to resolve this right away. So I think kind of that is the tone of, not everybody is just guilty because I got rid of them, but they're guilty of being not as competent as they should be for a club that's going to turn 100 years old. So I think that is kind of, the demographic or scene of why everybody left, not only for Juve, but also F1 within 24 hours. It's just everybody's out, and I'm bringing my own people. So I think it's more that Elkann is tired and he wants to put his stamp on things. Then everybody's guilty, and we're going to get slaughtered by financial fair play and things like that. At least that's my hope.
Yeah, you would assume. Also, Agnelli made some comments, and they were weird because for me, he was taking shots at other people's for siding with the investigators. They like apparently others in the circle who are all gone. Um, they were they wanted a different approach in terms of they want to be, be more open with the investigator, being soft, while Agnelli was, no, don't want to hear about it. And then he basically said, like, if the circle is not really working, it's broken, then if people are moving different directions, then you need to leave. Hassa saying, wouldn't Elkann just fire them instead? It's weird that when this many people resign, they got sacked. Like, they say resign, they got sacked. Like, let's be honest. Like, 10 people are not just walking up and be like, we're all leaving at the same day. They all get told to leave, and they, came out to the world and be like, they resigned, they got sacked, they got told to leave. It's as simple as that. Let me see. Yeah, they were fired. Okay, let's move on. So we talked about things will come out. A lot of things are very vague at the moment. Let's see what's gonna happen. Let's see. The other things I want to talk about. I have two. I want to end with Agnelli, but I'm gonna I'm gonna go with Allegri, because it's a topic. We still need to play, no matter what's gonna happen. We still are playing at the start of January. Allegri was up for discussion before the World Cup started for many still, and he was at a topic yesterday. Maybe as it should be, because people are leaving. You're like, what is happening? Is everybody leaving? There were rumors that he was gonna leave. I went live yesterday. I said I don't think he's gonna leave. There were rumors about Cherubini leaving. He's gonna stay. So that was a question, and he addressed that, Elkann, today in a statement. And he said he basically said he's gonna stay. it's, it's as simple as that. He said Allegri remains a point of reference in the sporting side of Juve. We count on him and the whole team to continue winning, as they have shown they can do in the last few days, keeping all goals high on the pitch. He also goes on saying that the nothing's gonna change. They still want to win, improve excuse me, in a short amount of time. What he was trying to say. Um, so no drop off, all those things. So Allegri's saying yesterday I was live. Somebody asked a question. I'm like, I'm not a big fan of him. People know that. I was, but he made so many mistakes that I don't really trust him at this point anymore. And somebody asked me that question. I'm like, I hope he stays. And the moment I said that, I'm like, did I really say that? Like, am I a hypocrite? Because I called him out the entire season. But I'm like, I don't want the players coming back and be like, no board, no coach. They know nobody at the club. Surely, I think it's gonna be a long season because I was feeling optimistic for coming back. I think this is a big hit because there's a lot of uncertainties for free agents, players in talks with the club, like agents probably ringing up the club and be like, what the hell is happening? Because again, they need to represent their players in the best way. But I was like, I hope he stays at this point because I have no idea, like, who's gonna pick the new coach? Like, it's gonna be a mess. Like, it's gonna be a mess. So there needs to be some sort of stability. So he just needs to ride it out now until the end of the season. I'm probably not gonna be like, sack him during the season because I would be like, oh, for who? Like, who's gonna make a decision over here? Like, it's a complete mess. So he backed him. I wasn't surprised. I also wasn't surprised that he didn't walk because people were suggesting that. I would be completely shocked if he walked because I don't think he's that type of guy. I actually do think he cares about his job. Maybe it doesn't seem like that, the last few months. I actually do think he cares about the club and the players. That's the most important thing. I actually believe he cares about the players. So that's why I'm like, he's not going to leave. I will be completely shocked if he's going to leave. Norbert, are you shocked that he got backed by Elkann?
No, not at all. We need stability, as you said, and Allegri. I don't like Allegri. I respect him, what he did for the club, but since he returned, we can see the results. But he needs to stay now, unfortunately, or not. But this is what it is. And my question is about the transfer window. How is it going to be? Like Cherubini, the new president, Allegri, maybe Elkann as well. Or they all sit together, a bonfire or something, and they sing songs, and then they figure out who to sign, or I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah, the Mercato, we'll probably hear about that in the next few days when things come out. Because now it sounds ridiculous to talk about the Mercato, to be honest, because I have no idea what's going to happen. Giuseppe, were you shocked about, him being back, basically?
I agree, Norbert. I don't think it was shocking. I wasn't that shocked. I was kind of relieved because for him to be, replaced, I think we would all be at a loss because at least we need the players for themselves. They need familiarity and they need somebody they've dealt with half the season already and several seasons in the past. So I think it's a smart choice. We all don't prefer Allegri, or I think that's the majority. But he knows the club, he knows the players. You're not starting from scratch. Listen, if we get a new coach and they just appoint somebody, who are we going to get? Who's going to want to come in with a looming investigation and potential sanctions?
Yeah.
So we're gonna finish off January to May, hopefully get stay in the top four and maneuver from there. But if you brought somebody new, I mean, we could easily drop out of Champions League and even Europa, and it could be a serious problem, and it'd be millions of more revenue lost if that was the case, and that would be a catastrophe. I think that was a common sense thing to do, is to back a coach that knows the club, knows the players, and has control of the locker room, and they're getting results. I just put in in the chat, they're picking up points, and they're in a respectable position right now in January. Chiesa is going to, be implemented more. Pogba hopefully be back and can stay healthy. We have players that are going to come back from injury, and it's going to be kind of like a mini transfer market, because at least we're going to get a full squad. We've been playing 6 months, 5-6 months with 10, 11 injuries. So with players being back and the youngsters, coming into their own, I don't see it as us being knocked out of the top four. Will it help to get players in the winter? Sure. Absolutely. Will it break us? I don't think so. I think, it's something where the team is strong, but if they can play more as a group and we can get our players like Di Maria, Pogba, the transfers that we made in the summer to actually be on the field, that would help us, because that's what we thought we had starting the season. And Rabiot, I'm not a fan, but he's playing out of his skin. So if players can find their form second half of the season and stay healthy there in the World Cup, I don't think we're terrible on the field. I really don't. So I think Allegri was a good move to keep him. Changing it would have been too many changes, and we could have gone halfway through the transfer market without a coach. That's my opinion.
I agree. Yeah. Someone saying if we gave up on the Super League, Seferin won't ban our transfers. Romeo tweeted out the club's position hasn't changed. I saw a lot of people were shocked, and I was confused why, because Agnelli didn't make that decision on his own. That's not a decision that Agnelli makes on his own. Like, that has been talked about with Elkann, with everybody, and the club is, that's our stance. Like, that's not going to change because Agnelli left. So people were shocked. I was like, that's normal, because it's not Agnelli pushing that idea. It's backed by the club. So that's not going away in any way, shape, or form. My follow-up question was on the Allegri stuff is, do you think... the first part is, do you think we were playing better and you had some positivity or like good feeling going, back into January? And also, do you think this is gonna, affect the team on the pitch? Do you think it's gonna take away something of the momentum we were building towards the end? What do you think, Norbert?
So I think several things I think about right now. So Elkann right now, I think he has Elkann and Allegri together, I think maybe has a really important job now to, when the players return, and even now maybe the agents are calling. So they need to make sure that they are calm them down, that everything is okay, it's going to be okay, la la la, I don't know. That is really important. They need to be calm. The players need to be calm. So I believe it will not affect them, because it will be taken care of by Elkann or Allegri or both, or Cherubini. I don't think Cherubini, but I like the performance. Obviously, the last few games was really good, and I think I have high hopes to continue that way. I wonder if Allegri will have more power in the transfer window as well now, since that's someone who's
Very good
here.
point.
Yeah, I wonder maybe he will turn into more like a manager style, like in England, that is the director of football and the manager together decide and stuff.
They might lean on him to do that. I agree with that, Norbert.
Yeah. And one more thing, last thing is I'm excited for one thing. That's the fans. And if they can push the team the way they did in the past, I think we will be okay.
Um, I, I think we will struggle a little bit because of uncertainties with certain players. With the fans thing, I agree because in the last game, the last home game, a part of them returned to the stadium, a little section, and it was much better. The atmosphere was much better. So I'll keep saying it. It does make a difference. Like it just does. When a team is struggling, and they have no business into getting back into a game, the fans, not always, like it's not a given. It's not because they're being back that it's gonna run smoothly. But in certain games, in certain moments, the boost of the fans, it helps. Like we've seen it many times in games where we're like, oh boy, this is just bad. Or like even playing away from home, we're dominating. They get a goal, the fans get behind it, and the team is all over the place. And you're like, how is this happening? You're playing against a very average side. You should be dealing with them. It's just adrenaline being pushed. So I do believe it's gonna help when they come back. But Giuseppe, do you think it will affect the players or like the performances coming back?
I think it will. I mean, everybody's looking at the past of 2006. Well, okay, so Juve went into Serie B, and at the same time, Italy won with a lot of Juventus players. Italy won the World Cup. So I think when there's challenges and there's things like this, especially the Italian culture, I think it shows character. The players, when they're called upon and they know the struggle, clubs are struggling, they have long-term contracts, and they're not going to shoot themselves in the foot, and let this affect them, because if they play bad, they're getting less money at their next club. If they play bad, then they could not start. If they play bad, they could lose out on Champions League. So I think it's an incentive to show, character when you have challenges like this, and it doesn't affect their play as far as it has something to do with the locker room. Yes, it's in the back of their mind, and it's gonna linger and hover over the club. But my point of view is that if you did keep Allegri, and Elkann, if he can run the ship and get people in place, that they're going to rely on the club, the fans, and the players to push through something like this and get results. If you get results on the field, a lot of this stuff is going to take care of itself, because it's just, it's a slap on the wrist, or, okay, we have sanctions. But if they're pushing and they're beating clubs, without getting any money for the January transfer market, and they're getting results, that's just going to serve us better. So I think it's just going to show the character of the players. Look at the players that stayed in 2006. It was our club legends, Del Piero, Nedved, and Buffon. And those players were, they were kept at the club, and they showed a great example. Del Piero, for quite a long time, he was asked to go several places like Cannavaro and Zambrotta and Thuram, and Ibrahimovic. Those guys all left, but he stayed. Nedved became vice president, and Buffon stayed for a very long time and came back for a second time. So it's going to show character, and it'll show the board and the coach who's in for the long run. And the theme is fino alla fine, until the end. So I think it could serve as a positive, sometimes turning negatives into positive. That's at least the way I think as a person.
Yeah, so I agree with you. And there are two types of players here, and they are for different reasons, but they will both push. There are one group of players who love Juventus, like Chiesa, Fagioli, Miretti, or I don't know,
Danilo,
Vlahovic, Danilo, all those players. They love Juventus. And there's the other type of players who are future free agents, like Rabiot. They play for money. They have to play good. And in between, there are players that has to show that, okay, I'm a good player, I can play good, and I deserve a long-term contract, good money. So I don't think they can just be afraid of the future or whatever. They have to play. They are professionals. They get good money. So I think we will be okay.
I like. I think some people will probably laugh. Wait, let me ban this guy.
Future is here.
I think, and people will probably laugh. For for once, I want Italians in the team, um, because they will care. Like they will care.
Yep.
Yourself, Fajoli's post on Instagram. He posts a heart picture, like literally a heart. Like these players, yeah, they love the club, you know, and they will probably go for it even more now, you know, because the club is being attacked, you know, for legit reasons, no legit reasons. I don't know. Like let's see, but they feel like okay, we're being attacked. We're just gonna show them now. So they will ball, but and I'm gonna agree with Justin and Julian now. Like players like Di Maria, Paredes, who knows we're out of here. Arabio, Alexandro, yeah, they need to play for money. I understand that, but they know we're out of here very soon. It's done for us basically. Um, I'm not sure how they're gonna react to all this. And then some players who are just not playing well in general, or like Cuadrado, he knows. I actually do believe Cuadrado cares about the club, but he knows he's out. So it's a weird situation to come. Like imagine going to the World Cup. Like imagine waking up, being Danilo or whatever, waking up to that news and be like, what the hell just happened? Because they probably would have just learned about it like us. I hope not. I hope they got a message from the club, this is happening. I think so because Agnelli sent a message to the employees. I assume he would have, sent a message to the players in general, like this is happening. Before I move on to Agnelli, really quick question. I feel bad for Netfed, or like okay, I think he's being overlooked in all this now because I haven't seen much about Netfed, but there were rumors about the club not being happy with certain things coming out, even if they were old videos, the way he reacted, said stuff, blah blah blah. But he's also out, and he's a legend from the club, and seeing someone like him, what he means for the club, going out like this is just not fun. It kind of hurts to me. Like it's like he's gone. He's been there for a while. Like, everybody loves him, and he's gone out of nowhere, just gone, and probably we won't hear much about him for a very long time. I think he's that type of guy. But yeah, he's actually gone. That's why when I hear rumors, bring Chiellini back, bring Buffon back, bring Del Piero back, I'm like, huh? Like this is kind of a messy situation. I don't want these guys to come in and fans turn on him, because that's what fans do, me included. I got pissed at Netfed a few times. I'm like, what is your job? Like, are you taking this bullshit? You want something, they don't agree with you, but you're still sitting here. I'm like, that's kind of weird to me. So I don't want him to come back. Like Nico Shira saying Chiellini can come back. I'm like, to do what? Because I have a feeling they come back just to be a puppet at this point, to be there and be
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Look who we brought in, Chiellini, Del Piero. What do? They will talk. They will talk good stuff, to keep the fans at bay. But are they really doing anything? When I read the names Elkann wants to bring in, I'm gonna say no. They have no experience, and people are saying, look at Maldini. Milan were in a very dark place. We are in a bad place, but at the moment, like on the field, we're not in a dark place as Milan was for a very long time. We're not. So I don't think you can, how do you say it? I don't think you can compare the two things, because our expectations are sky high. Like we want to win now. Like even when this is happening, we still want to win. Milan fans want to win, but they were coming from years and years of failure. We are coming from basically 2 years of poor, maybe this one 3 years, but like 2 years of nothing, and we are losing our minds. So I don't think it's really comparable. But what do you make about Netfed leaving out of the back door, basically?
I think that I don't know. I have this weird feeling that he will return, but he will return to a position that I have no idea what is that position. Not the same position. Maybe I have no idea. Can he be on the board, or board is more like
I don't think he's
business
coming
people?
back. I think
No?
it's very. I mean, and you could be right, but I think it's very Like it's humiliating. Like, isn't
Yeah.
it? Like I would be very humiliated. If this happened to me, I would be like, wow. I see Agnelli at one point coming back because, well, he owns the club in some way. Like he doesn't own the club, but like he owns the club. Like if he comes back one day, I'll be like, yeah, no shock over here, you know.
Yeah. But
But not.
I
so
mean,
Nedved's
he's not going to stop coming to the stadium. I mean, he's not going to stop coming to games and at the stadium. He'll be around, just like Berlusconi was around, just like these other people that are not supposed to be. I mean, it's not going to be like Moji until they come up with some kind of eviction or some kind of massive fine or penalty. I think both Nedved and Agnelli are going to be around the club to a certain degree in some kind of manner. I don't think they're going to be operational, in the operations, but I agree with Ali. You're not going to bring in Chiellini. He's still playing. You're not going to bring Buffon. He's still playing. And people are saying Del Piero, he can run a restaurant. He can't run a club. He can't slip into Nedved's role. Nedved was a vice president. Maybe like a player advocate or bringing in players or being part of the transfer, the transfer team, but not as a vice president.
I mean,
It's just a different role. That was Nedved came in 10 years ago, and he came in when we had Conte and Yelly came in, and we were at rock bottom in Serie B coming up.
That's what I was.
We had zero.
With expectations.
We had zero then.
Yeah, there were when all those guys came in, there were no we came in from 7th place. There weren't really expectations. It was just hope. The expectations are sky high still. Like even with everything is happening, it's not and yes, they need to learn at some point. I understand, like Nedved did, like Maldini did. But when the expectations are so high, there's no time to learn. Like you need to be good at it immediately, or you need to know something. If they come back in an advisor role, advising people like the lawyers, bankers, I don't know, maybe, but I'm still worried. Like I want people who know what they're doing in terms of, okay, you're good with numbers, but this is the football world. Like when Arriva Bene a few months said, I know nothing about football, I'm learning. I was like, oh boy.
He came from F1.
Yeah, I was like,
why is he going from F1 to being,
you cannot say that. Like you're talking, you're the mouthpiece with pre-game of the biggest club of Italy, one of the biggest clubs in the world, and you come out and say, I have no idea about the sport. Like I don't really know anything about the sport. I'm like, what? And that was basically brushed away by the media. I'm like, surely that's a worry sign. No, I don't want that. Like I need people who know what they're doing, especially now. Yes, someone who can, crunch the numbers, good. But I want someone who knows, okay, this needs to happen. These are the people you need to talk with. Or like just things we don't know as a fans, but they know. So it's weird, and I'm worried. I'm still worried. The more I think,
I agree with what you're saying. Sorry about that, Norbert. I agree with what you're saying, and Ale, I think you're kind of hitting it right on the head. My impression is that I think Elkann is thinking the same way you are thinking. I'm worried that these things are not going away. We're getting investigations. The board is not performing. The team is not performing. Our expectations are up here, Champions League, and I'm dumping this money in. You keep asking me for money. Getting these players, we just spent 60-something million, on one striker. And these expectations that Elkann has for giving this money and giving these resources should be high. And I think you're hitting the nail on the head. And it's, since last January, we're here again, and he wants results like tomorrow. And I think we're down here, and it's like what you're saying, for the commitments that maybe Elkann or the company's made, to give all the resources. The board is not performing, and Elkann says, okay, you couldn't handle it, and I still think it's kind of a family, not a family riff, but it is family. It's his cousin, and he's going to say, you and everybody get out, and we're going to start from scratch, or we're going to do this my way because it's not happening fast enough. And you're not going to come to me in January again and ask me for another 70, 80 million to get Milinkovic-Savic, this guy and that guy. I think he's also fed up. And I think that's what you're saying. And he's probably worried it's going to continue to get worse if he doesn't do something drastic. So I like the drastic reaction. If it's related, then, it's related. If it's not related to the investigation, it's a contributing factor. So only, time's going to tell.
So what is the job description of a vice president? Like, what did Nedved actually do the past 10 years? Because
with Raiola
and being angry at the games but passionate. But Del Piero would never leave his life. He has a restaurant. He has a football club there. Whatever he would never leave for a fake position.
Yeah.
So that
I think
that part is.
I agree. I think he will leave if he actually knows I have something to say. And Hanin is saying we still need a respectable legend figure to bridge the gap with the players. I agree with that. I agree. It's not. Like, it's not, how do you want to say that? Like, it's not, it needs to be. Like, it's not happening at all clubs. Like, it's just not. But it feels like it's something we do, the club we are. So I would agree with that. I have no problem with it. But I'm just not saying bring all the guys back and just, vibe your way through the end of the season towards, I don't know, what's coming, basically. Before we wrap it up, I want to talk about, obviously, Agnelli and what he has done. And I want you guys to rate him out of 10 for the 12 years at the club. Let me bring it up. I brought a few things. So he took over. We were a mess. Like, we were a complete mess. He brings in Conte, Marotta. Like, he works with him. He sets up a team. We win 9 titles in a row, which we'll probably never do again, or like not when I'm alive. Won 5 Coppa Italia, 5 Supercoppa. We played in 2 Champions League finals, which sounded ridiculous when he took over. If anyone would have said that. We have a new stadium, J Hotel, a new training center, and even an old J Medical, which might be a joke at this point. An under 23 team that is working, is functioning. So he set all that up. On top of that, you have a successful women's team, which is, you need to mention. And the value of the club skyrocketed. Like, it's if you look it up, compared to when he took over to now, it's ridiculous, we're back on the map. So those are all the good things. But, so I will let you guys rate him first. But I'm also going to say, there are also some bad things because he built something up. I said on my daily, and he watched it burn down because of his own doing. And he was like, let it burn down slowly. And he was hoping, the wind was basically, gonna, whatever you want to call it. Someone was coming in and was gonna put out the fire, but it was not really gonna be him. That's the vibe I was getting. The vibe also I was getting that he was focusing more on things that had nothing to do with football, which is okay. But I think has anyone had the feeling the last couple of seasons that we were a football club? I didn't have that feeling, we were pushing weird things like the logo. I still need to encounter a person who actually loves the logo, or the logo being on jeans and all those things. I don't really care. I'm a football fan. And they were pushing in that way too much, in my opinion, while we were struggling on the pitch and even off the pitch. And it sounded really, really weird, in my opinion. So I will give my rating after you guys. Before I do that, please like the video, guys. Everybody watching, thanks for watching. Please like the video. So we'll start off with Norbert. You give your rating for the 12 years.
So up until Allegri left, I would say my rating is 9 out of 10. Because all the things he did and he built. And right around that time when he started his craziness with the fans, with the real fans, because I'm sorry, I don't. There are fans and real fans. And after that, with the coaches and this coach and Sarri and that and all that mess, then it's a 1 or 2. So I respect him what he did for I don't know 8 years. But the last little more than a couple of years, it's horrible. And as you said, he destroyed what he built. So I don't mind that he's gone at all. I celebrate it. And thanks to that, the fans will be back. And that's a huge thing. And I'm happy about that. So I would only rate until Allegri left, so that I would give a 9. And the last few years I would not rate because it's horrible.
Okay, that's fair. Let me see what the chat is saying because I need to. Let me bring this up a little bit. Nope, I'm making. Yep, this is not. Oh, it's a mess. It's like the clock. Okay, let me bring up the comments again. Someone is complaining about my mic. My mic is fine, so just don't do it now. 8.5, 10. I see a lot of 10s. 8.5.
Nothing is perfect. 10 is crazy.
Justin saying 8.5. Agnelli brought greatness back to the club. That being said, let's not pretend Serie A was at the height of the sport throughout. The last few years have been rocky, and the way he's out is saying, yeah. Justin saying 10 is impossible without UCL Champions League title, basically. What do you make about that? What's your rating for 12 years?
My rating is definitely 9.5, and I'll tell you why. Whether Agnelli's responsible for it or not, he was definitely at the helm. And he created, and no one can doubt, he created a dynasty for 9 consecutive seasons. I mean, Milan couldn't win a title in 11 seasons, not one. And same thing with Napoli, and same thing with Inter. So he created a dynasty. Look at any other sport in any other league. Winning it 9 seasons in a row is just crazy, and it's probably not going to happen for a long time, if not ever. So for that, I definitely give him a 9.5. Yeah, we didn't win Champions League, but look at the teams that are winning Champions League and look at their budgets. Their budgets are, twice ours. Their annual revenue coming in, which is the main issue for Juventus, is astronomical. Man City, PSG, they haven't won a Champions League, and look at what they're spending on players. Real Madrid, they're winning back-to-back Champions Leagues because they have a culture, and they have a culture of being the best. So as much credit as you would give, the people in charge of Real Madrid for winning the Champions League, because that's their MO, you got to give Agnelli credit for 9 seasons, and okay, so the last 2 haven't been great. We're still qualified for Champions League, which is what a lot of clubs still can't do. But maybe the powers got to him. Maybe the challenges have got to him. And picking fights with the UEFA president and these other distractions have got to him. But 9.5 because he created 9 happy years for fans, brought in one of the best players ever to play the game, although we didn't get a Champions League. We've had a shuffling of coaches, but all that being said, I think he's done a phenomenal job for the club, J Hotel, all the accolades that you mentioned, bringing up the youth, the youth team where we can actually pick players from our own team. I think that's massive in itself. So I give him a 9.5. I'd like to have Champions League, but our team was a fraction as good as the teams we were playing. When we're in the finals, our team wasn't amazing. Our team was functioning at a top level, even though we didn't have top level players. You know, so that's my take on it.
I muted myself. So I will repeat myself. I'm gonna sound crazy, um, but I'm gonna go with a 7.5. Because the first 9 years were great, but even the last 2 years, especially last year, there were cracks, and I think the cracks were not repaired. They were just made bigger and bigger and bigger. And everybody had a feeling like this is not going the right direction, and I also had the feeling like the club was covering stuff, and act like everything is okay. And the way you leave the club also matters. And the feeling is he left with his tail between his legs, because it doesn't look good. Like, the situation doesn't look good, and I'm gonna take that into consideration, because yes, the first years were amazing. They were great, fantastic. But I also need to look at this situation. Look the mess that it has been created at this point. Look what's happening. I need to take that in consideration. The last couple of years, last 3-4 years, have been very last 3 years have been very, very messy, and everything. Like, you also had the feeling that he was focusing on things that weren't really important for us at the moment in time. Like, we had bigger issues. He was also thought he was being very arrogant. You know, that's the vibe I was getting. He was being a little bit more dismissive. Um, like, even the fans things, like the statements coming out from the club, coming from him. Arriva Bene is saying, we don't really need to be a hostile stadium. Like, everybody can sit down, eat his popcorn. I'm like, what direction are we going? Like, the stadium was empty, and you're making these kind of statements. You're bringing that out. Like, it was giving me the wrong vibes. But I'm not gonna deny what he's done for the club. Like, we were in a shambolic situation before he came in. Like, we were just in a banter era. That's what we were, and he completely turned. He completely turned it around, like, completely. But this, like, if you look at the current situation, I can only be like, okay, this is not good, and it kind of, puts a stain on the work he has done, that he has done, that he, built up with people he picked, and very competent people. Like, not all credit goes to him, of course. Like, all the people who, added over the couple of years. Um, but yeah, for me it's a 7.5, maybe an 8. But like, the current situation, it's worrying. Like, it feels like we got a little bit screwed in the last couple of years. That's just my opinion. Um, Lucas saying, yeah, cracks were made bigger, but we never really invested to rebuild. We just kept getting old, worn out, expensive players to plug holes. I agree with that. Like, weird. And he's saying Ronaldo should be on the cons for me. In hindsight, worst move in 10 years. Yeah, but I think COVID played a big part in it. It's an unfortunate situation. If we had started poorly and then won the last 5 years consecutively, what would you be rating him? Probably higher, because we were in a banter era. I wasn't expecting us to come out of it in a matter of a year, basically. Like, I was not expecting us, because we were playing with players like Grigera and stuff. That like, those were the players we had. So I was not expecting us to dominate. So that was a good question. I'll probably rate him higher, because that's, if he leaves on a high note, I'm like, okay, but he leaves on a very bad note, in my opinion. Um, People are asking how does it affect the mercato. Nobody knows. Like I have no answer on it. I think nobody has an answer for it. I think the meeting yesterday between Cherubini and Allegri was probably to discuss those things. I'm assuming he got word from Elkann saying this is a situation, this is what we probably can do, because you still need to prep it. Are you gonna do something? Yes or no? I said always yes, but now I'm doubtful that we are gonna do something. But I think probably they met to discuss these things. What's happening and what's gonna happen, basically. Um, it's late, uh, but I'm gonna ask one more question that has nothing to do with this situation, but we're probably gonna talk about it for a very long time, the next couple of days, weeks, months. Um, Yeah, Julian, Justin, I agree. But even worse, if we drop to Serie B, like it's a zero. Like he messed it up completely. Like whatever. But I'm gonna ask you a question that has nothing to do with this. Before we wrap it up, it's about the World Cup. Like, what are you making of it? And straightforward question: after all the games you have seen, who do you think is gonna win it? Norbert, you go first.
So we had some horrible games, honestly. Some crazy 0-0s. But honestly, I think as the tournament progresses, the players, I don't know, maybe not the players, but the teams play better and better. To be honest, only Brazil made me think that they can win it. The rest of the teams, maybe France, but like, even then, if they wouldn't have Rabiot, so yeah, I think we will see. So it started bad, the tournament. It got better, and we will see. I would say Brazil will win it for now. Spain, Germany, that game was like, okay, yeah, France and Brazil, but I would say Brazil will win it.
Okay. A lot of people are picking Brazil. Giuseppe, what do you think?
As far as the tournament, I think it's a disaster. I mean, you have players that are, adjusting and complaining because they're getting sick because there's air conditioning being pumped into the stadium. You know, there's a lot of issues that players are having to deal with. But I'm convinced with Spain. To be honest, I don't think Brazil is going to win a World Cup. That's just my opinion. I know they had a kind of a stinker against Germany, but let's be honest, Germany's going nowhere. France looks strong, but I'm just going to go. I'm just going to go with Spain. I know they have every single player that's playing their own role, but I think they're united behind their coach. They have leadership. France has had some injuries. Brazil is a lot of talent and there's a lot of players, but don't be fooled by these goals that crazy goals that are getting scored. I think when it comes down to it, there's going to be big name. Some of the countries that are big name countries are favored to win, but the preliminary stages, I don't think they really speak volumes for what's going to happen later in the tournament. So if I had to pick a dark horse, I would say uh, definitely Spain is who I would go with to win.
Okay. I'm actually enjoying the games that on paper look like the worst ones. They are proving to be the better games for some reason, which is okay. I picked Argentina before the World Cup. Uh, they look really bad. They don't look good. Even against Mexico, they didn't like. They look dominant, but Mexico are not a good team. They're not. So I probably should be sticking with Argentina. I'm gonna stick with him. I'm just gonna ride it out. but I do like Spain. Someone saying in the chat they are inexperienced. They were at the Euros and they should have beaten Italy. If we're being completely honest, they were the better side. You know, they lost, but you know, just looking at the game, they were the better side. So I don't think experience will be an issue for them. Like Brazil, like do they have a lot of experience if you look at that team playing together? You know, that front line, like it's just playing together at clicking at the right moment. I think they're clicking. I think Germany, you never can count them out, even if they look not the best team out there. But I'm okay with the World Cup. It's just I just want it to be over. Like I just want club football back. Maybe not with this situation. It can wait for a bit longer. But I've always said it. Like I prefer club football over national football any day of the week. It's just me personally. But it's okay. It's okay. The next round will be, I think, when things get interested and more fun to watch. But we're gonna wrap it up because we are 1 hour and almost a half, 1 hour and a half almost in. Thanks everybody for watching. Everybody in the chat. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel as always. Keep an eye on the channel because, well, there probably will be breaking news after, or like big news after big news, or weird news after weird news the coming days, weeks. Leaks, accusations based on nothing or something, hopefully something, concrete, true we can talk about. I want to thank these two guys who are members on the channel. You cannot become a member on the channel at the moment because I don't know what YouTube's issue is. No idea. They don't want to allow us. We reapplied. They said no one more time without a reason. So we need to wait 1 more month, basically. But they're still members of the channel. So thanks for the support. Thanks for coming on. It was a good show. I was planning for it to be a much more fun show. But, thank Agnelli for that. He messed it up. But thanks for coming on. Thanks everybody in the chat. You guys have something to say before we wrap it up?
No, thank you for inviting us to this wonderful meeting.
Thanks, Ale, and thanks Norbert, and to Justin and Julian as well. They, listen, you guys do this every single day, and you're, not only do you do the research and you go about your everyday life, but you provide us with content, and you go through all these press releases and you sort out these things and you bring it to us on our fingertips. So guys, if you're in the chat and you follow and you don't subscribe, shame on you. You guys should subscribe, contribute to the channel, definitely like the videos. It really makes a difference. So the channel that's been provided to you can continue to grow. And these three guys do a lot of work, and they're not getting paid for it. They're doing it because they love the club and they like what they're doing. So you guys, I really appreciate for sure. And you guys, in the chat should show your appreciation. At least, like the videos and subscribe when you can. That would be great.
Wow. Look at the spiel. Awesome. I feel the same way. I wouldn't be subscribed if I would not enjoy the content. So yeah, thank you guys.
Yeah, thanks for nice words. Thanks everybody again for joining. We will be back. Wait, tomorrow is Wednesday, so tomorrow there will be a daily, and I think there will be a live. Yeah, I need to check the schedule, but I think daily and a live. So thanks everybody for watching.